Hi, and welcome to this episode of Premier Performance in Golf. I'm your host, Jim Newline. Today we're going to be talking about the real difficult process of teaching feel. From my standpoint, very difficult to teach feel to my students. And if somebody's working on their own and they're trying to teach themselves feel, really difficult thing to kind of get from one dimension to another. So, one of the biggest products that I've found, and it's becoming more popular out there, there are a couple of different companies out there that are doing something along these lines, but one of the biggest products that I found to help me teach my students how to create a feel for something is Blast Golf. Big believer in it. Doesn't hurt that Brad Faxon is the spokesperson for this. I had an opportunity of caddying for Brad Faxon back when I was caddying at Marion East, and what just a nice gentleman that was willing to give of his time. And when he spoke with you, I mean, he really just seemed like he was very interested in what you were saying. So, a little shout out to Brad Faxon. Don't know if he'll ever get this video, but you know what? If he does, he'll know how I feel about him. So what I'm introducing you to today is, as you can see, this is our telephone with a Blast app opened. We're going to go ahead and start the session. And basically what it's doing is it's trying to help you get a feel for what the right pace of a stroke is. Their belief, and I tend to agree with them, is that on the backstroke for a putter from the standstill to the very top of the backstroke is 0.6 seconds, and from that point to time of impact is 0.3. So I'm going to hit a couple putts here for you, just seeing how close I can come to that 0.6 and 0.3, and then we'll discuss it a little bit further after I do that. So basically what I have is I've got one device recording. I've got this other device, my phone, down here showing us what we're looking for it to do. And basically what we're going to do is give you a sneak peek of what's going on. So basically where I've got it here, you've got a sensor on the end here. It talks to the mobile device, and then you will hear from that mobile device, and it will display numbers of what your pace was, and there's a couple other interesting things that you're going to see. Okay.
0.67.
All right, so it's telling me how fast I took it back. 0.67, I'm trying to get to 0.6, so I was a little slow on the backswing there. 0.54, a little too quick. And there are things that can happen when you go too slow or too quick, depending on the person, and we'll discuss that later as well. Okay, we're getting a little bit closer now. Okay, now we're talking 1/100th of a second here. I'm trying to get to 0.6, that says 0.59. So from my goal of 0.6, I'm 1/100th of a second off. Doesn't seem like much, but when you are looking at 0.65 compared to 0.6, it really feels like that backstroke is in a little bit more of a hurry, which sounds negative, but once you learn how to do it and realize the benefits of it, and you're able to consistently do that, whether it's a 3-foot putt and you're doing 0.6 to 0.3, or it's a 40-foot putt and you're going from 0.6 to 0.3. It's allowing us to deliver a more consistent club head. And my last one here, let's see if we can get this one on track here.
0.62.
Missed by 2/100ths of a second. So let me turn this off and we'll discuss this a little bit more at length. All right, so we're back, and now we're going to take a look at some of these results. As you're looking here, this was the last stroke that I hit, and it was about as close as I could come to the 2-to-1 ratio that they're looking for. So I was 0.62 and 0.28 for a total of 0.89. We're looking to get to 0.9. You're also going to see that there is backstroke rotation of 1.3 open, and then coming through 1.4 closed, which nets out in their world to 0% change. So obviously I'm bringing that putter back pretty square on that shorter putt. Now, what you have to understand is that the shorter the putt, the less rotation there is. And so therefore, if I have a 40-foot putt, I'm going to have probably 11, 12 degrees rotation open going back, and then ultimately that same amount being closed coming through so I can deliver a square club face. What happens is when you tend to get quick on the backstroke or the forward stroke, you have to understand that there's kind of a jerking motion if it's a little quicker coming down, and so that club face may be open a little bit for one person. Another person might then be a little jerky coming in, and he has a tendency of letting the toe flow a little too much, and so therefore it closes down too much. So if we can be able to repeat those 0.6 and 0.3 and having that same ratio, we're more likely to return a square club face. As you can see here, we can see another example here. That was 0.9 and 0.27, 0.86. You see that I was a little bit open. I had opened it up 1.2 but only closed it down 0.6, and so I was open a little bit when I came through there. And you can see at that 0.27, that may have caused that. That was on my fourth one, now on my third one. All right, 0.62 to 0.9, 0.91. I was 0.9 open, 1.4 closed. So I was a half a degree closed on that one. All right. And we'll look at this one here. This one was a real quick one, 0.54 to 0.27. All right. I was 1 degree open going back, 1.3 closed coming through, so 0.3 closed. So we're not looking at a whole heck of a lot of difference, all right? But it's enough that if I'm looking to hone my putting stroke and I want it to be square when I come back, the more I practice this and the more I get closer to that 0.6, 0.3, more than likely what's going to end up happening then is we're going to be back here where we're 1.3 to 1.4 pretty square. Now we do also have the ratio here. You're also seeing how far I took it back and the speed that I hit it. You also have lie angle change, which means that I've decreased it 1.6, and so that means my hands were a little bit ahead, still had a square club face, a little bit ahead, and so I'm kind of hitting and grazing over the top of the golf ball, giving that feeling of really kind of over the top of the golf ball this way here with the putter. So as it's coming in, so my hand is decreased a little bit, and so that's forward shaft lean, all right? And then the lie change is 0. So that was actually a pretty good putt. Very happy with that. So may go into this more in depth with wedges, irons, drivers. Ratios change a little bit the longer the club gets, because obviously you need more time going back, all right, to get it full all the way back. But then since it's a longer golf club coming from the top, it becomes quicker to the bottom. So like with a driver, it's 0.75 back to 0.25 to the golf ball. And so you're looking more for a 3-to-1 ratio. If you can time this and teach yourself this feel, well, when you get out on the golf course, you can definitely feel when you get a little out of sync, and you know, since you've practiced it long enough, that you'll be able to find it back out on the golf course, get yourself righted, get it in the clubhouse with the best score that you can shoot, and then work on it on the range a little bit. This is very portable. It goes with you to the driving range. Probably one of the easiest systems that I know of that really allows us to teach the feel all the way from the putter, the wedges, the chip shots, the iron shots, and the driver. So, once again, 6 P's that we believe in and we buy into is proper prior practice is a promoter of premier performance in golf. Infinite exponential growth. Once again, as we're introducing products to you that help you get there faster, you're able to add things more on top of each other to where your exponential growth becomes unlimited. So this is Jim Newline, hoping that you enjoyed this episode of Premier Performance in Golf. Stay tuned. We will have another video coming your way very, very soon. Thanks again.